Enter Talk Radio. You're in to all things music.
Welcome to Making It with Terry Wollman, the show that explores the secrets, successes, and strategies for making it in the music biz. And now, here's your host, Terry Wollman.
Welcome to the show, and thanks for tuning in. I want to say a quick thank you to my guest on last week's episode, Emmy-nominated composer-arranger Artie Butler, whose arrangements include Louis Armstrong's What a Wonderful World, Barry Manilow's Copacabana, and Joe Cocker's Feelin' All Right. If you didn't get to hear it, you can listen to all of our episodes at entertalkradio.com/makingit or download our app and take us with you. Also, be sure to tune in for my upcoming conversation with next week's guest, entertainment attorney Michael Morris. We will be talking about why and when an artist needs good legal representation. I'd like to take a moment to also thank the companies that help me sound my best, whether I'm performing live or in the studio recording and producing music. Blue Microphones, Taylor Guitars, Seymour Duncan Pickups, Mesa Boogie Amps, D'Addario Strings and Planet Waves, Motu Digital Performer, IK Multimedia, and Exotic Effects. So often I get asked questions about the creative process, so I created this show to focus on what it takes to have a lasting career in the ever-changing landscape of the music business. You're really in for a treat, as I've invited my friends, some of the best and brightest in music, to share their stories on how they have influenced the music that has shaped our lives. I guarantee you're going to love it. So let's get started. My guest today is musician Kiki Ebsen. Today, I'm pleased to welcome Kiki Ebsen, a friend and fellow musician who shares my passion for music and for life. Kiki began her love affair with music as a child, attending symphonies and listening to opera. Soon the music of Joni Mitchell would present itself to her and inspire her to become a singer-songwriter. After earning her degree in classical voice and piano from California Institute of the Arts, Kiki went straight onto a plane bound for Tokyo, joining the band Chicago on tour as their offstage keyboard player and MIDI tech. Over the next 20 years, she became a featured keyboard player and backing vocalist for Grammy-winning artists including Al Jarreau, Boz Scaggs, Michael McDonald, Tracy Chapman, and Christopher Cross. Currently, Kiki is preparing for her summer concert series, bringing both her original band and the Joni Mitchell Project to Festival of Arts in Laguna Beach. She is also presenting her very personal show, To Dad Would Love, a tribute to Buddy Ebsen, in Simi Valley as a benefit for their Cultural Arts Center. We have a lot to talk about today, so please help me welcome my friend, Kiki Ebsen. Hi, Kiki.
Hey, Terry.
Welcome to the show.
How are you? Oh,
I'm doing
thank
great.
You so much.
Let's just jump in. I want to ask you a personal question. Your website says Kiki Ebsen is a dynamic singer, songwriter, musician, and artist whose vast musical range combines elements of jazz, pop, classical, and rock. How else would you describe yourself?
Well, I just love music. You mean in terms of music or just in general?
Or in general, personally. Yeah. There's more to you than that really beautiful description.
Well, I'm deeply, emotional. I mean, I do have I could be tough on the outside, but I have a very creamy center. And I tend to absorb the emotions around me, and that can be a little daunting at times, but through the arts, both visual and our music, but through all the arts, music, drama, and painting and all that, I've been able to express myself and somehow touch people in the process. So I'm an animal lover. I'm very loyal, very committed to the people and the projects that I decide I'm going to do. And, I'm pretty sensitive.
Did you get your sense of loyalty from your parents? Or are you just born that way? Are your siblings like that? Or do you feel like you're kind of unique in your family?
I think that my family really cares for each other. And I think in some ways, yes, I think I would say I get that from my family and just what we've all gone through. There's been a lot of great times, a lot of challenges. I feel a deep sense of responsibility as one in my family that's sort of taken the gauntlet, as it were, especially as an artist. Both my parents were creative artists. My mother was an actress and had a theater. She was the ambassador of she was the president of the California Theater Arts Council. And of course, my dad was, a renowned television actor, song and dance man. So terribly creative people, but it's, I've really sort of taken that on. So I think that watching them be true to themselves has encouraged me, over time, to really be brave and fearless and dedicated and loyal to myself and the mission that I'm on.
I was going to get into your family a little bit later, but since we're talking about your mom and your dad, let's talk about your early years growing up as the youngest daughter, born into a famous Hollywood family. Your mother, Nancy, was not just an actor. She was a Vassar-educated actress, singer, classical pianist, and a theater director. Your Aunt Vilma Ebsen was also an actress and dancer, best known for dancing in Broadway shows and MGM musicals in the 1930s with your dad, her more famous brother, Buddy Ebsen. And you've got some pretty talented siblings as well in your family. So
correct.
What was it like growing up in an artistic, creative family?
Well, as you can imagine, the arts were readily available. My parents were constantly shuffling us around to the music center. As early as age 5, 6 years old, we were seeing original cast productions of everything, and my mother constantly went to London and New York to see productions. That was sort of a 3 or 4 times a year. She was just very dedicated to the theater, and of course we came along. So we didn't really have a choice. We were put on stage at an early age, and frankly, I was terrified of the stage. I really found it very difficult to be up there as a kid and having to be in front of people. I really wasn't. That's why I love playing the piano. That to me is a very private moment, for me.
Right.
But I mean, it was great. We grew up around nature. My parents moved us away from the Hollywood Hills when I was around 3. So my brother and I, because we're the youngest, got to grow up in Balboa Island around the water and sailing. And we also grew up in the country. We had a ranch that we would spend our summers on. And it wasn't like some ritzy ranch either. This was like no central heating, and there were, like rattlesnakes.
Yeah, it was a ranch.
It was a ranch,
Right.
And we fixed the fences and fed the horses and cleaned up, and we really loved it. We thrived on it. And what smart parents to put their active kids to work like that, thinking we just thought it was fun, but they're like, let's get them to do the work, And we would just crash out at night, and so it was hard to get in trouble, till later years. but it was just really. It was idyllic. And then I was able to just explore my piano in a creative, I took lessons, but I like to play by ear. I like to develop melodies. And I just played totally for relaxation and fun and escape. And it was really great.
Were you playing guitar back then as well, or did you pick up that instrument later in life?
I would play my dad's guitar. My dad had this amazing Junior Martin that Fess Parker had given him during the Davy Crockett days. And I wish I knew where it was, because it's just the coolest. You would love it. So I would play that, but I wasn't that skilled, probably because my dad could barely play it himself.
Right.
So it wasn't like he taught me many chords or anything, but I enjoyed the sound of the strings and things like that.
So let's go even further back in your family. Your dad's parents, your grandfather, Christian Ludolf Ebsen Sr., was a choreographer. who owned a dance studio. I found out, and your grandmother Frances was a painter. I found out that actually that side of your family moved to Florida. I grew up in Miami, so I felt like I actually could picture some of your dad's growing up. And I guess my question is, do you think that there was some sort of a destiny to you becoming an artist?
Perhaps. I mean, I know that from a very early age, I was, I don't want to say precocious, but I stuck out. There was an energetic, like, bubbliness to my personality that I'm sure my older sisters found quite tiresome. And and I really felt like I was singled out in a lot of ways to be the golden child, to go out and I think my parents had their own ideas about what that would look like. But I wasn't, I was really good in school. I skipped a grade. I was, pretty much a straight A student by the time I got to high school. And so things like that were fairly easy for me. There were definitely challenges, but yeah, I'd say that my parents really thought I would do something, in that regard.
And like many of us, as a teenager, you performed with your own band, but you were also working in stage productions with your mom in the community theater that she founded. And you also ended up performing on the road with your dad in a family show that he created for all of you kids called An Evening That's Entertainment.
Right.
Was that as fun? Was that as fun as it might have seemed, or was it more like your first experience with the very unglamorous life of touring and traveling, or both?
It was both. I mean, it actually was pretty fun because in his effort to connect with me, God bless him, he brought my whole rock band out on the road for a couple of these shows so we could play. I think we played some Deep Purple on the show with all this song and dance. and then I would dance a little bit with him, but mostly my sister was the dancer and did more of the theatrical work with him. But my brother did a really cute. My brother's a drummer as well, and they would do a little tap routine, a tap drum duo, which was really sweet. And I just enjoyed watching him piece together the parts of the show, a lot like a vaudeville show. You never know. You're going to get the so-and-so singer. Now you're going to get the juggler. Now you're going to get the guy with the dog. So it was very pieced together, but yet it had a continuity about it. It was vaudevillian. And that was his, I think, effort to show it. Hey, we're going to make a show. Here's a barn. Let's make a show,
Right.
And very in the moment.
So as you got older, you ended up you went to college at California Institute of the Arts and received a BFA in vocal performance. Did you feel that college prepared you for the career that you've had in music?
No.
Yeah. I had a feeling it might not have. Okay. Honestly, thank you and good night.
We're done. You know what? I bounced around in my 20s. I really just wanted to play in a band. And I knew that when I was about 10 years old. I just wanted to play music with people. I loved it. I didn't want to sing. It's not that I didn't want to. I just didn't think about it. I wanted to play the keyboards. And I loved, through the 70s, I was a big progressive rock fan and, wanted to be Keith Emerson and John Lord and Rick Wakeman. And so I bounced around quite a bit, and I did study a lot of piano, but because of my reading, I don't read as well. At least I didn't back then. And so college, I basically ended up in the vocal department because they really liked my voice. And I found that kind of amusing. Because I didn't really consider myself a singer.
That was sort of an aside for you. Right.
Yeah, that was too easy. Oh, this is too easy. It's got to be harder than that. Right. And they're doing backflips over my voice. I went, well, I never even considered doing having a classical voice career, but I'll give it a go. So what the great thing about college is that it was concentrated study. I completed it, making my mother extremely happy to have a degree, And then I took my classical opera degree while everybody was getting ready to go to Europe, to do the competitions. And I basically joined the group Chicago as an offstage keyboard player and a MIDI tech, which was my mother was like, "What are you doing?" It's I might as well have said I'm joining the circus. I'm joining the circus and I'm running off.
Did your mom think? Well,
it's not too far off.
I could easily see why she might have thought that. But were they hoping that you pursued an opera career, or were you considering that at any point? Because I know you were in the Marriage of Figaro in school, and you were studying. Is that something they hoped for?
Oh, absolutely. My mother would have been thrilled if I had gone into opera, musical theater. My dad was hoping I would be he wanted me to be a jazz singer. So my dad wanted me to sing jazz and sing the Great American Songbook. My mother was fine with all that, opera, musical theater, because that's what they knew. And of course, I was rebellious, and I didn't connect to that music at that time. I liked actually playing my own songs, and I liked rock music, and I just it wasn't in my heart. So I couldn't just do it because they wanted me to do it. And they were great about, even though they weren't happy about it, they what were they going to do? They tried to like it, but they really were not appreciative. I think it took them several years to kind of wrap their head around the fact that this is what I was, which was a keyboard player and a bunch of touring rock pop bands, which also led to jazz and things like that. But it wasn't the route that they were hoping for.
We've got a minute before we get into our first break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about your first tour with Chicago and how that led to where you are now. But here's a quick question just regarding school. What was the most valuable thing you learned while you were in college?
Performance, I think, just getting up in those master classes for classical voice and singing that repertoire. Opened me up to a whole world. I didn't realize Chopin wrote songs, or Fauré.
Right.
So it opened me up to music I would have never heard before, and community as well. It was great. So I loved it. I really did enjoy it.
The thing the most valuable thing I got out of music school was how to hit a deadline, and I didn't realize that until I moved out here and had to hit deadlines. So kind of a surprising, important lesson to me. I'm speaking with artist Kiki Ebsen, and we will be right back with more stories and some really interesting news that we're going to break on today's episode. So stick around.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
You know what's all around you every waking moment of your life? Marketing. You're choking on it. I'm Scott Robertson, and when it comes to strategic PR, branding, and marketing, I've seen it all. And actually, I'm still seeing it because bad marketing never sleeps. Join me each week on May the Best Brand Win, right here on Intertalk Radio, and learn how to make the marketing for your brand unforgettable.
Hi, I'm Tim Dolbear, the host of Sound Experience on Intertalk Radio. Each week, I talk with top professional audio engineers, producers, musicians, and the manufacturers that make the tools that we use in the studio each and every day. From capturing the perfect take to mastering your final release, and the tools and how the pros use them, we are going to dive deep into their process and learn from their experience. I look forward to you joining us each week on Sound Experience with me, your host, Tim Dolbear.
This is Jackie Bertoni from Jackie's Groove. Come join me weekly on my journey through the music business as I take you behind the velvet rope, interviewing industry notables such as Al Di Meola, Michael McDonald, and Al Jarreau, to name but a few. Listen to their stories on being in the studios recording #1 hits and onto the stages throughout the globe. Allow me to be your music historian. You can hear me live every Monday at 2 p.m. and every Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific Standard Time or 24/7 on jackiesgroove.com. Ready to get your groove on?
This is filmmaker Danny Gold of If You're Not in the Obit, Eat Breakfast, and you're listening to Making It with Terry Wollman.
Welcome to Making It with Terry Wollman, the show that explores the secrets, successes, and strategies for making it in the music biz. And now, here's your host, Terry Wollman.
Welcome back, and I'm here with Kiki Ebsen, and it's great choice of song because it's really showing the versatility and the eclectic side of you as an artist, and of many artists. You know, we don't all just do one thing.
Right.
So you were just talking about, you know, right out of college, essentially, you instead of heading off into a theater or opera career, or jazz career, or a rock career playing Pink, Iron Maiden, and all the rock tunes, and you ended up jetting off to Tokyo, Japan, with the group Chicago to be their second keyboard player and also MIDI programmer, which was completely ahead of the curve and forward thinking. And what was that experience like for you?
It was phenomenal. I mean, it was crazy, but it's sort of looking back on my life the way I pretty much do everything now. I just say yes, and then I figure it out later after I get the job. At the time,
I do the same thing. Yeah.
I had gotten a lot of experience. That MIDI was a very new, the musical instrument digital interface, as all you musicians know, was just getting started in the mid-'80s, and in 1987 I had a software company for a little bit, and then I learned a lot about the software, and Chicago was looking for someone to take over a mid-tour replacement, but I wouldn't have had an opportunity to rehearse, and it was for offstage keyboards, sampling and sequencing, and just basically being like the Wizard of Oz behind the drum riser to cover whatever was necessary when their keyboard players would either get away from their keyboard or pick up a guitar. So I thought, my God, I'm hit the road with Chicago? Absolutely. Although I'd never even used an Akai sampler before. I just got the manual and a video, and overnight was able to, I'm pretty technically savvy. So my first gig was at the Budokan, and we just went for it. And I stayed with him for 2 years and did a record. It was amazing because, that's really like the circus. I mean, you're on a bus I'm the only girl, 18 guys. It's my first tour. Right. I'm like, and it could have been a feeding frenzy, but honestly, they were so nice to me. They all became like my big brothers, and, helped me through stuff. And I saw a lot of the world, I also saw a lot of fairs, a lot of the Midwest. I saw the giant Iowa butter cow and stuff like that. But, that's an unglamorous side as well on those bus tours. But I did a lot of that kind of touring. But it got me on the map, and then I was able to, like I said, I did one of their records, played and programmed on one of the, I think it was Chicago 18, perhaps. I don't remember. And then I started my tour career after that. I just went from tour to tour. It was pretty amazing.
So how did you go from your first tour to second tour? How did you hear about it? How did they hear about you?
I heard about, again, it was one of those things, very fortuitous. I had been writing some songs with the drummer Chester Thompson. You know Chester Thompson?
Of course. Yes.
And he said he was looking into, somehow he knew that a keyboard chair was opening up with Jarreau, because Vonda Shepard, who was doing it, was going to go out, break away and promote her first record. So that's all I needed to know. I cold called them and dropped Chester's name and just said, I'm very interested in that job. And about a year, I had to stay in touch with him for about a year. before.
Let me interject. When you cold called them, how did you even know who to call, or where was the number? What was your?
I had the management company, Pat
Got it.
Raines,
Okay.
and I had the name of his contact through Chester, and just, you know,
Right.
I mean, you just have to take these chances and say yes. And I still tell myself that stuff. If anyone's like going, "How do you do this?" I also, when I decided I wanted to tour, which was a good 6 or 7 years, it was before I was even in college, actually. And I was playing in top 40 bands, and I went, I want to go on the road with a big rock band or a band and tour the world. I want that. And so I knew nobody in the business. I hadn't even been through college. I just started writing letters to like these giant management companies going, "Hi, my name's Kiki Ebsen, and I really want to play in Steely Dan or whatever." It's like, it's just really fun.
Of course you do.
So, right. And of course it was hilarious to think about, but when you put that intention out there and there's an opportunity, you just go for it. So I called them, and I kept staying in touch, and I got the audition, and it was amazing, the musicians after that I was able to play with, you know.
So what did you enjoy most about being a sideman, and what do you enjoy the most now about being your own artist? Oh,
good question. Well, there's no pressure when you're a sideman, in the sense that somebody always tells you where to go, you know, when to show up, what time. Well, you hope that they'll do that, and then you get your paycheck. You don't have to worry if the guarantees are in or anything like that. And you get a variety of music to play. And it's nice being part of an ensemble that's supporting a sort of this artist who's, and you do watch them. I mean, you get to watch a lot of people deal with their fame and their rejections and their moods, you know. You see art. It's hard to go out there every single night and just be on. And I've seen a lot of artists take it well and not take it so well, and treat the fans certain ways. And it's just a lesson in, like, if I were ever to do this myself, you know, how would that be? How would I be? So I learned a great deal from everybody I worked with.
Tell me about your record label, Painted Pony Media. How did you come up with that name? I
really like paint horses, which are pinto horses. They look like they're 2 different colors, sometimes 3 different colors. And my little logo is actually one of my horses. I'm a horse person. I have about 4 painted horses of my own, and that's it. That's all there is to it.
And what prompted you to create your own label and become an independent recording artist? Because in some ways you were kind of ahead of the curve on that, as was I.
Well, I had fallen through the cracks of the record business. My first record came out in 1993, and I loved it. I loved everybody involved with it. But that record was moving. It was right at the beginning of the smooth jazz, you know, format, and we still had contemporary jazz and things like that. But I'm a singer-songwriter, and so instead of traveling the path that the Sarah McLachlan, Sheryl Crow's, and Tori Amos's went, they went to the AAA side of the radio format. I stayed in smooth jazz, and then they promptly dismissed me as a viable product. And I don't know what the politics are there, and it's okay, all is forgiven. But they really just did not. They just really didn't care about me. So I didn't have anywhere to go. My label dropped me. I couldn't get a new record label, even with the attractive names that were associated with me. So I still have songs to write, and I'm just going to write them, and I'll do them however I can. If I have to sell them, my little gigs, I'll sell them at my gigs. And, you know, it's so rewarding just to do it now, to own all my stuff, and just be able to do whatever I want. I mean, you know, are you making millions of dollars? No, but in the long run, I get to go out and do whatever I want.
Right, and make high quality music the way you want to make it.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest with you. After my first record, I tried to quit. I was like, how can I? It was painful, and I didn't think I had the grit, you know. And but the songs keep coming, you know. You're not going to stop creativity. It's like trying to put toothpaste back in the tube, you know.
Right.
So you might as well just deal with it. And that's why I have so many different things going on, is because I just keep coming out in all different directions, and it's great. It's exhausting, but great.
So I want to talk about your discography and kind of jump in and then work our way back a little bit from 1994 around 1994 to 2012. You released 5 solo CDs. In 2012, you were going through an overlooked box of your mother's keepsakes, and you discovered a collection of old scripts and playbills and photos that gave you insight into your dad's career before you were born, which led to you creating the Scarecrow Sessions album, which is a collection of jazz standards as a tribute to your dad's life and career. Would you share your story about making that record?
Sure. You're absolutely correct. I was going through, my mother had passed away, and, we finally were going through boxes of things, and I found a box that clearly had been overlooked for decades. And since my parents split, I'm sure that it's like my dad probably has been looking for this forever, however long. And it had all these incredible, it had all the letters, his correspondence. Somebody had saved, I guess his family, all of his letters that he'd written home in the 20s and 30s and 40s. And then their responses back. Somebody had all this stuff in a box with his photographs and scripts from Born to Dance and Yokel Boy, from the Broadway, the 30s, and from The Wizard of Oz, and just amazing stuff. And I had just released The Beauty Inside, which was one of my more amazing original records that just totally unleashed me and healed me in so many ways, giving me the freedom to really be brave. And I decided that my next record would be a collection of jazz standards and dedicate it to my dad. Finally, I'll be the jazz singer that he wants me to be, and because I thought this is a gateway. This is an opportunity for me. There's something here that I've been denying, and I need to do this. And so from there, I chose songs from the shows that he was in. Like Comes Love is from Yokel Boy. He was in that Broadway musical with Phil Silvers. Breakfast at Tiffany's, Moon River, and St. Louis Blues is from Banjo on My Knee that he was in. First breakout movie was in with Barbara Stanwyck. So I tried to find songs that had a connection to him. Laura is his favorite song. T for Two was his signature dance routine. Missing You, he co-wrote that song. So I was talking to my friend David Mann, who he and I were in the Christopher Cross band together, and when I told him about my idea, he was like, I can help you do that, because he's an amazing jazz musician. I mean, terrific producer, and he plays all the woodwinds. And I was a little scared, because once I said yes, and then I was like, well, I don't know. I don't know if I can do this. But he really coaxed me into it, and I went to New York, and I played on one of the tracks, but I really wanted to sing with an jazz band, and we had John Patitucci on the bass, and Henry Hay played piano, who's phenomenal, and Chuck Loeb played guitar, and Clint Gannon. It was really, and I sang to every take. They were like, you don't have to sing on every, we can just keep your scratch vocal. I went, no, I'm going to sing for 8 hours straight. You guys are too good. But it inspired the sessions. It really did.
And you also did something really unique besides just the emotional excavation that you the dig that you went into with your family history and your just everything. But you did a Kickstarter campaign for that to fund that record. And I wanted to know what your experience was using crowdfunding to finance an album or that album.
Well, it was really fun, actually, for me, because I was, had my video camera at every opportunity, to give updates. I really enjoyed that part of it. It's an exhausting thing to do, though, to keep up with it, and the fulfillment once you promise them all these things. And I promised so many crazy, dedicating a special song to so on. But it was really, I met a lot of people that I hadn't met before, and I got some very generous contributions. So I have to say it was a really cool experience.
I'm glad to hear that. It was the same with Melissa Manchester's record that I co-produced with her. She had an amazing experience connecting with her fans, from doing that. It was more than just receiving money. It was a real exchange of, an energetic exchange, and they were really very much part of our process. I'm glad to hear that it was a good experience for you. Let's talk about yoga. I practice martial arts, and you practice yoga. And tell me about your practice and why it's so important to you.
Well, I practiced on and on over the years, but I never really understood the spirituality of the practice till a couple of years ago, when I was dealing with some deep emotional grief, and I just needed. I just started going to this one particular studio, and I think what the practice is it's very connected to the study of Ayurveda, which is it's about waking up every day a clean slate, meaning you have to eliminate not just physically but mentally and emotionally and spiritually. And if you don't, you carry weight with you, emotional baggage, physical baggage. So yoga gives you a chance to reset yourself every single day. It's not just going and working out, although plenty of people just use it that way. You go in, you get centered, you meditate, and then you go through a series of poses that heat up your body and strengthen and flex, and make you flexible, strong, and build heat. And that's where the sort of workout element comes. But you're only doing this so that you can actually get to a quiet place at the end of the practice. So the whole reason you do any sort of yoga pose and sweat even a little bit is so that at the very end, there's a pose called Savasana where you just lay still and you do nothing. And it might be the first time or the only time anybody would ever relax during the day and not have a thought. But when you're so racy, and we're so racy in our minds, and I am. I mean, I without it, I probably wouldn't sleep at night. It's just we're so driven to accomplish, and after a while, you just have to remember that it takes it away from being so me-driven. And now all the work that I do is more of like a channel of energy. And
I need to cut you. We're going into our next break.
Okay.
I apologize for that. We will continue our yoga talk with Kiki Ebsen, and also we're going to start the next segment with a very cool announcement.
Composer Adam Berry, and you're listening to Making It with Terry Wollman.
Hi, this is Tim Dolbear, host of Sound Experience here on Intertalk Radio. And Source Connect by Source Element is the essential tool that we use to link between my studio in Austin, Texas, and the WS radio station in San Diego. Now, with Source Connect, not only can we communicate in real time and with HD audio, but it's synced up and is of a high enough quality that I can use it for real-time ADR work, remote recording, and overdubbing, and it even allows me to remotely control a DAW. Source Connect by Source Element. Affordable, high-quality audio and video connection over the internet for all of your production needs.
You know what's all around you every waking moment of your life? Marketing. You're choking on it. I'm Scott Robertson, and when it comes to strategic PR, branding, and marketing, I've seen it all. And actually, I'm still seeing it because bad marketing never sleeps. Join me each week on May the Best Brand Win, right here on Intertalk Radio, and learn how to make the marketing for your brand unforgettable.
The Moyer Entertainment Group, in conjunction with ProMark, Dunlop, and Deadline Media, is keeping music in our local schools and presenting local talent to the world through the Temecula Valley Music Awards. Submissions for entry into the TVMA 2017 season are now open in all genres, including a youth category for artists under 18 for the October 7th Star-Studded Awards Show, where 100% of the proceeds go towards supporting local music education in the Temecula Valley. Details, tvmawards.org. Network.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
This is mastering engineer Brian Lucy at Magic Card Mastering, and when I'm not hanging upside down, polishing my crystals, and moving music a quarter decibel one way or the other, I'm listening to Making It with Terry Wollman. And so are you right now.
Welcome to Making It with Terry Wollman, the show that explores the secrets, successes, and strategies for making it in the music biz. And now, here's your host, Terry Wollman.
Morning, Morgantown, where your dreams are all down. Morning, any town you name, morning's just the same.
And we're back with my guest today, Kiki Ebsen. Kiki, this is, I understand that you're making an exclusive announcement about a brand new project of yours
That's right.
today on the show. I'm excited to let everybody know what it is, so I'll leave it to you. Tell me what's going on.
Well, we're releasing Cool Songs Volume 2, which is the music of Joni Mitchell. And it's my rendition of her music, just piano vocal, pretty much the songwriter edition. And I'm really excited about it. It happens so effortlessly and beautifully, and it aligns with everything that I'm doing, and I'm announcing it today. It's for sale. It's for pre-sale right now.
Congratulations. That's fantastic news. So it's Kiki Ebsen, Cool Songs Volume 2. When is it coming out? Where can they find your CD or pre-buy it?
You can pre-order it now at kikiebsen.com, kikiebsen.com. The official release date is August 27th, although it will be available at the end of this month at the Laguna Arts Festival, the hard copies, the records will be. So if you want to come down there, we'll have copies for you. And the release date is really significant because August 27th is my sister Bonnie's birthday. And she is the one who introduced me to Joni Mitchell when I was just a kid. So this is something for her. Perfect.
I had a feeling, and I was going to ask you if there was a significance to the release date, and I think you've chosen well. I think for that,
you.
and I'm really excited to hear this record. So you've shot the album artwork. You're locked and loaded. Everything's done, mastered, ready to go.
It's just being
and you'll be signing them also at the Laguna Festival of Arts for your upcoming show. What's the date of your
I have a show there. My first show is my band, is my original music, but I'll be doing a little bit of just a couple of Joni songs, and that'll be July 29th. And then you and I are getting back together with the Joni Mitchell Project in August.
Yes.
And that's the 19th, I think, Saturday night.
So, and we invite everybody to come down. That's a really fun band, and we're going to tell you about it now. And go see Kiki's original project as well, because it's I'm not just a friend, but I'm a fan too. And having been a member of your band, but also having been in the audience listening, it's really fun music to listen to.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You have said that Joni Mitchell is a brave and fearless explorer of the heart and soul. You and I are in a wonderful band called the Joni Mitchell Project with fellow musicians Grant Geissman, Stephen Lawrence, and Matt Starr. Would you talk for a moment about your Joni Mitchell Project and what makes it so unique?
I think it's unique that because I think everyone, it may not be unique in that way, in the sense that everybody really loved their freaks. You guys are all Joni Mitchell freaks like me.
Yes, we are.
I think that it could be unique because we kill it. I mean, we do a great job covering this material. And we also add our own, because we're such freaks about our music, we really add our own artistry into it. It's not just a cover band. It's not a tribute band in the sense that it's really an artistic band. Everybody in the band they're artists. You're an artist, Grant, myself, and I don't try to sound like Joni. I just try to infuse what I have, using the vehicle of her song. And it comes out sounding like no other Joni project that I've ever heard personally. Because the stuff is hard to play, and you have to be pretty badass, and you guys are super badass.
Yeah, it's extremely challenging.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's, one of the things that I think makes this band so unique and this project so unique is and brings us a sense of authenticity to it is we all go so deeply down the rabbit hole of each song to the point where, the drummer might be giving a note to the guitar player, to either Grant or I, about, oh, that's not what's on the record. That's not the voicing. Or I might say something to Stephen Lawrence, the bass player. It's not that we correct each other. We help each other go deeper and deeper and deeper into the nuances of the music. And I find that really stimulating and refreshing. It's a very collaborative process, but we all are nitpicking. That's maybe a bad choice of words. We're just going down the rabbit hole together in the songs.
You're passionate. Everyone's really passionate about the music and their involvement and the playing of it, the performing of it. I think it's hard music to perform collectively, and I think the audience really gets off on, wow, these people they're really doing this, and they know how hard it is. And for a vocalist, I mean, I have to practice my butt off to remember the lyrics and make the melodies flow, and it's really great to have you guys in the project, and you especially. Because you handle all the alternate tunings, and I don't think the audience really appreciates how hard your job is and how indispensable you are in that project. Because Grant gets to play the solos, and that's you get to play solos too, but you do that really hard stuff that people don't see.
Right, as you had said, the heavy lifting in private.
The heavy lifting. Yeah. So,
but that goes. Thank you. Thank you for acknowledging that. And, it's a really beautiful challenge for me. And it also goes along with something you said at the beginning of our conversation today, which is you just say yes, and then you figure out how to do it. And this is one of those instances where I was brave enough to say yes, and you all have encouraged and pushed me and urged me and to keep going. And it's, There's something really important about just being open to things that might be a little outside of your comfort range, because the reward is huge musically.
Well, exactly. And you can't grow inside your comfort zone. So if you're going to grow at all, it's got to be somewhat terrifying a little bit. So
and it is
a big sigh of relief at the end of the day. But it's one of the coolest things I've ever said yes to was the challenge of doing an all Joni Mitchell band.
Yeah, likewise for me as well. Let's talk about the ocean, because you and I have both grown up around the water and spent our childhoods growing up on boats. Can you tell me the story behind a sailboat called Polynesian Concept?
Well, that's
Do you remember that boat?
Yeah, that's a boat. The first boat my dad he built and designed. It's a catamaran. My dad's passion is sailing, and whenever he wasn't acting, he was on the boat. He sailed and crewed his own boats. He raced them. He did the Ensenada races every single year. He raced the Polynesian Concept to Honolulu in the Trans-Pacific race in 1968, and he won. He won that race. So he was very, very proud of that boat. It was super fast, and it's just a real gas to see him finding so much joy on the water. Like we did almost every weekend.
And did you crew on those races?
I crewed on a couple of the races. Yeah, it's tough. You've got all those hungry guys out there, and got to cook them up something to eat.
Oh, sure, yeah.
But no, I would do. I would. You know, what I have no boat lingo anymore. But
right.
You know, handle the mainsail. You know, every time you go ready about, you better duck, or that you know, boom is going to come around and whack your head off. So
that's for sure. Let's talk about something else that's very important to you. In addition to music, you've also dedicated your life to working with rescued horses through your nonprofit organization, the Healing Equine Ranch. Your mission statement is to empower, enlighten, and educate humans through natural interaction with horses. What would you like people to know about that part of your life and the work that you do?
Well, you know, I use rescued horses to teach people about how horses communicate, which is a very beneficial metaphor to how we might relate to each other in the world. Horses are prey animals and we're predators, so there's some differences in our body language. But if we learn, you know, ways of, it's almost very yogic and meditative. If we learn ways to kind of slow it down and listen and be as light as possible, effective as necessary, then there are ways to finesse our way through life's little, sometimes problems or you know, just especially in relationships. There's ways to communicate on a lighter level where it becomes a lot more effective. I think as humans, we tend to come in, you know, like gangbusters, and we use way too much pressure on each other and on ourselves. And if we can learn to breathe more, it's a lot of breathing, and there's a lot of focus and intention and use of just body language that horses respond to, and they mirror you, and they'll also mirror your emotions. So it's a great experiential learning tool for people to gain better awareness on what they actually bring to the table in any relationship, in any conversation. Plus, they're just amazing animals to be around. They're so very, very sensitive and beautiful. Mm-hmm. And different.
We're going to post the website as well as all the other websites that you are associated with, so people can find your music and also find out more about the Healing Equine Ranch and other organizations that you're involved with. You know, you also devote your time and support to other animal rescue organizations like the Rescue Train, and you even led me to finding my dog Ollie, which I'm forever grateful for that beautiful experience. And I'm wondering what led you to your work in general with rescued animals.
I just love animals. I've been rescuing animals ever since I was a little girl. I have such empathy for creatures that are in especially suffering. And I remember when I was just like, I don't know, 7 years old, 8 years old, I found up here at the ranch, I found a little nest of baby field mice who were hairless that the mother had abandoned. And they were just, again, no hair, eyes were shut. And I took them up to the house and I said to my dad, we must save them. Now, granted, we've been setting traps for mice. Like, you know, my parents have been trying to get mice out of this house. And I want to save,
not in them.
I want to save 7, you know, baby field mice. And my dad's like, okay. I go, we have to go get formula. We have to go. And so he took me like at night to the store, and we got formula and a dropper. And I stayed up every 2 hours. I got up and fed them. And he got up and would check on me like in the middle of the night, and I'm like determined to feed these mice. And I put a few of them like in the oven and make an incubator. And they were kind of cooked in the morning. I think a couple of them survived. So anyway, I have a thing. When I was at school, everyone would bring me the box of kittens that someone abandoned, and I just loved them. I just love animals. I think they're so healthy to be connected to, and it teaches you about life and death. Having to lose them, I know, is excruciating, but it just teaches you to be in the moment. And you know, I'm going through it now. I have couple old dogs. I just got a new puppy. And I'm just sighing a breath of fresh air that I've got a new dog now, because you losing those dogs just make you crazy.
Yeah, they become such a deep part of who we are in our lives.
Yeah,
we've got about 3 minutes left in our conversation. I wanted to ask you something I ask all of my guests at the end of the show. At this point of your life, with everything that you know to be true, what would you tell your younger self?
Don't be so scared. Don't be so scared, and be So be gentle on yourself. You're doing just fine.
Were you rough on yourself when you were a kid, or you were just scared? What were you scared of?
Of not being good enough. I was fearful of. I was insecure, and I just didn't feel like I was enough. And I think that's been a journey for me my whole life because of being, again, growing up in that iconic family where you're never going to be your dad or your mom or whatever. You've got to find your own way. And now that I have, and I've had some success at it, I'm much more fearless than I used to be.
I saw that one of your favorite quotes on your website, I believe I saw this, was by Oscar Wilde. Do you want to share what that is?
Oh, be yourself, everyone else. Be yourself, everyone else is taken. I saw that somewhere, and I just went, that's so brilliant. And that just takes the pressure off because nobody can do you as good as you, which is why I became a songwriter in the first place. I never thought I could even sing anybody else's songs. I thought, well, I can sing my songs better than anybody, and then I found that as I, Kiki-ized the covers, then I could sing those pretty well too. So you got it. The more you're yourself, the better everything is.
I couldn't agree more with that. In our last minute and a half, is there anything that you would like to let our listeners know?
Well, I hope you'll, come visit my site and listen to the music and check out our Joni record. And I'm doing a really great show for my dad, To Dad With Love, tribute to Buddy Ebsen at the Simi Valley Cultural Arts Center on July 30th. And that's a journey and a half. I'll tell you what, it's morphing me and changing me into, I don't even know what I'll be like on the other side of that. Very emotional, very beautiful, very nostalgic. And, just come visit me somewhere. And thank you so much, Terry, for this opportunity.
Oh, you're so very welcome. And I've seen the To Dad With Love show, and it's a beautiful multimedia show that even if Buddy Ebsen is not your dad, he certainly is somebody that's in all of our DNA and history growing up. So, well, the message I would encourage you.
The message is it's a father-daughter relationship of estrangement and coming back together and forgiveness and losing somebody and missing them and wishing they were back in your life. And everybody can relate to that in a big, big way. So
absolutely.
It's very positive ending.
And on that note, I want to thank you, Kiki, for spending the hour with me. We're going to post all of these beautiful websites that you're involved in at our the page that is at entertalkradio.com, and we'll see everybody next week. Thank you for tuning in, and thank you, Kiki.
Thank you.
Tune in again next week for another great episode of Making It with Terry Wollman.
This is Jackie Bertoni from Jackie's Groove. Come join me weekly on my journey through the music business as I take you behind the velvet rope, interviewing industry notables such as Al Di Meola, Michael McDonald, and Al Jarreau, to name but a few. Listen to their stories on being in the studios recording #1 hits and onto the stages throughout the globe. Allow me to be your music historian. You can hear me live every Monday at 2 p.m. and every Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific Standard Time or 24/7 on jackiesgroove.com. Ready to get your groove on?
Hi, this is Tim Dolbear from Eclectica Studios. I'm a full-time mixing and recording engineer. I work with Grammy winners, labels, and indie artists, using state-of-the-art digital mixing and restoration tools and the very best in analog gear. Really, though, it's my ability to bring tracks to life and fulfill your vision for your music. This has made me sought after by producers and artists worldwide. So spend your time working on music and not chasing a mix down a rabbit hole. Go to timdolbear.com and check out our free one-song mix offer.
You know what's all around you every waking moment of your life? Marketing. You're choking on it. I'm Scott Robertson, and when it comes to strategic PR, branding, and marketing, I've seen it all. And actually, I'm still seeing it because bad marketing never sleeps. Join me each week on May the Best Brand Win, right here on Intertalk Radio, and learn how to make the marketing for your brand unforgettable.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.